Well, welcome to Modeling Time with me, Brian Banna, and the start of a new project. In the last video, the last one that I did with the RS2s and the RSC2, I said I was going to work on the RSD12s. Well, I'm going to take a brief break from the Shawneetown Dock stuff and go back to the Cpt&C railroad. So I've got the two railroads going. And I'm going to do a phase 1 F3A ABA set. So I've got the B unit. I had started on it a long time ago, and I've got all the electronics in and stuff like that, but I'm going to rip it all out, and because I want to put in a 21 pin decoder rather than these direct select boards, because I have the room for it and such. So I want to do that. Let me get the camera set up and I'll show you what I got going on. And I've got something I think you'll really like too. It doesn't require any modifications to the frame or anything to use. So I think it's pretty cool, and it works really well. So let me get the camera set up and I'll show you what I've got going. All right, so this is the B unit. And these are going to be built from the Highliner shell kits. I've got the Stewart Cotto drives. These fit really tight, but I'll be using the glass and the locking system to lock it down on the frame and such. So, but they do fit tight. But the glass and the locking system will line it up properly and get it set properly. So these were the speakers I was going to use. These are the really large speakers, and they do sound okay. They sound good, but I just love the sound of this that I put in the RS2s. So I'm going to get some more of these, and I will be putting these in place of these. So on the B unit, I can actually get 4 speakers in. So I can put one down here and one over here, and I have to drill into the frame where these 2 lugs are on either side of the drive shaft, and I can put screws through to hold that down nicely. So I've got to do that, and so I'm going to take these speakers out. I'm going to take the board out, and I'll be putting in a buddy board with the 21 pin decoder on it. So I've got all the electronics I need. The Keep Alive I put in the bottom of the fuel tank, so I used a ball end mill and milled that out, and then I drilled a hole through the frame. You can see right there, and then it comes through, and it's glued with silicone sealer up to the side of the frame there. So I made a cutout. You can see the board is right there, and then there's a silicone sealer holding it. But all of this is going to come out and all get redone. So I need to drill the holes in the frame and such, and then I'll repaint the frame and all that. So that's what's going to go on with the electronics and stuff. Underneath this direct select board is a board that I made so that you can see the brass screws here and here, here and here. There's a board that attaches to the top of the Cotto motor with screws, and then I can screw the buddy board, which has the same screw hole locations. I can screw that right down. Everything's secure. Just plug the decoder right into it. Now let me show you the thing that I really want to show you in this video. These are the original draft gearbox holders, or to put the couplers up to. This is the front, and I don't have a rear one anywhere. I don't think. Let me see real quick. Nope. Oh, here we go. And this one's for the rear. Okay, so I was thinking, these are great and they hold in really nice, but I really like that, Details West makes that F unit draft gearbox. It has that horseshoe shaped thing on the bottom and stuff, and I was like, man, it'd really be nice if that was incorporated into these connectors. Well, I did that. So this is the front, and this is the rear. And they snap right in. So let me pull this one out, and you can see what I'm talking about. So they have this little clip right up front here, and you just like the original, you just push it in, push it down, and it comes right out. So that's what it looks like. Now, what I do for the coupler, this is a short shank coupler, and this one's no good anymore because it's the coupler's set too far in, and I'll explain that in a moment after I show you how these work. So basically, you put the coupler in like that. Then there's a coupler pin that fits right in like that, and it's clocked, so there's a flat part on the front. And then you just put a 0.80 screw in there, and you got the coupler, and it sits nice and steady and firm, you know, doesn't droop or anything like that on there. So this is, let me pull that out so I don't, because this one I can throw away, it won't work anymore. So then I got the coupler in there, and you put a 0.80 screw. So the pin here has a is sized for a clearance hole for a 0.80 screw. And then what I do, I have a little pilot hole that is built into the draft gearbox part. I drill that out, and then I tap it a 0.80. So the guide hole keeps the drill bit going straight, and then just go back in with a 0.80 tap. And that's what you get out of it. And then you just take that and you snap it right in there, and you've got your draft gearbox. Now I've got it for the front also. This is the front one, and it works in exactly the same. There's a coupler pin that goes down there. It just snaps right in, and you can see that on the bottom of the A unit there. So this is what they look like on the bottom. So there's no modifications needed to the frame at all. They just snap right in. One of the parts I made that you don't have to modify anything to use it. So anyway, that's the cool thing I wanted to show you there. And I had to do a couple iterations of it because the face-to-face spacing between if you have two A units back to back, or if you have a B unit and then an A unit on each end, it should be 3 feet between the face of the side of the unit, you know, from unit to unit should be 3 feet. So basically, from this edge right here to the same edge on the B unit or the other A unit should be 3 feet or 36 inches. So that's what I have these set up to. Now, of course, there's a lot of slop in the coupler, but at least if they push together, they don't touch the hood tops don't touch. There's still clearance between the hood tops. So that worked out well. So I've got that all set up. Other than that, I guess it's time for me to strip all of this out and redo it for the electronics that I want. But you can see I've got the trucks already painted, the fuel tanks already painted. I'm sorry, I'm not on camera there. So I've got the trucks painted, I got the frame painted, I got the fuel tank painted, but I'm going to take all this apart and redo it. I'll probably repaint the frame once I'm done getting the speakers in. I do have to order another set of these speaker enclosures and such. Other than that, that pretty much takes care of what I'm going to do with the frame. So I'm going to get all 3 frames done first, and then I'll move on to building the shells. So like I said, I've got all the parts. The only thing I have to order are some more of these speaker enclosures. Let me see, is there anything else I wanted to talk about here? No, I think that's it. So that's basically what the trucks are going to look like. So those are done. They've got a satin varnish on them and everything. I did run this. It doesn't squeak. I ran it a few times back and forth on my almost 20-foot long test track, and no squeak at all. So I'm really happy about that. But we'll see when I finally button it all up if it'll develop a squeak. So I don't think this one's going to, but we'll see if it does. So again, time to strip all this out, get the motor out, get the trucks out, get the holes drilled in the frame to mount these speaker enclosures and order another set of speakers. So I need, I've got one, so I need 1, 2, I need 3 more. Okay, as you can see here, I've got everything taken apart. All the motors are out, trucks are out, and everything's done. So, as I showed you in the previous clip, the B unit trucks, they're all done. They're fine. I don't need to do anything to those. I was thinking about putting sanding hoses on them, but I'm like, nope, I'm not going there, because then it's like, oh, if I put those on, I can put something else on, and then it just snowballs into not getting the model done. So right now, I just finished getting the paint off the frames. Well, not completely off. That's just with the Clean Strip spray-on paint stripper, which doesn't work as good as the old one, but it'll be fine. I'll crank the grip blaster up to about 80 psi, and it'll take that off like blowing dust off a table. So there's one frame. There's the other one. So these are the A unit frames. So I don't need to take the paint all the way off yet because I have some cutting that I have to do on them. This is the B unit frame here. And as you can see, the speaker will be back there like that, and it'll also be up front. So I need to drill these holes here, and also in the back here and here. On these A unit frames, or those holes are drilled so I can, of course, mount the speaker enclosure. I ordered the speaker enclosures yesterday. I got a note saying they're already at the printers, so they're being printed. So hopefully within a week or so, something like that, I'll get them back and I'll have everything. On these A unit frames, I just need to cut the back down so it matches like what you see on the B unit. So you can see how much needs to come off of there. So I need to do that for both of these frames. And then I need to also, on the back, drill the holes for the speaker enclosures, and I can use this one that I have to locate where those will be. So right now I'm going to get it all set up. Oh, also on these frames I need to cut where the Keep Alive or the power pack will go on the bottom here, and I need to cut the pocket out for the wires to route, and then drill the hole through the bottom of the frame so that I can put the power pack right here, which means I also need to cut a little recess here. Now what you don't see on this frame is, to keep the power pack from accidentally shorting against the frame, I have glued some styrene strip on the side and on the base so that it's up against styrene rather than metal frame. So that takes care of that. For the motors, and we'll get to those a little bit later, I've got the boards here that will hold the decoder buddies. I made these boards especially for this instance to hold the decoder buddies, so I can also, this board will then, before you put the decoder buddy on, it will sit into, where is it? Where's the other motor? Just like this one. So it'll sit. I have to use my cut down gauge, and I'll show this all on video when I get to it. So I have to use a cut down gauge over the motor, cut the standoffs off, cut these standoffs down, and then I can screw the buddy board bases onto the motor, and I'll have just a little bit of clearance to the top, which is good. And then I can put the buddy board on. I do have to trim these screws down, these Mikado screws down a little bit, so that the buddy board doesn't interfere with them. And everything's good to go. So we'll go over that when the time comes to get the motors all set up. So right now, I'm going to drill these holes. So I'll mount this into my mill, and I'll drill these holes and tap them here and here, here and here. And this will get repainted again because I've had to make some cuts and stuff like that in it. And then I'll do the same to these two frames. All right, so all the heavy lifting excuse me, on the frames are done. And by that, I mean all the cutting and such is done. So this is the original B unit frame. And you'll see it used to be painted black. I just went ahead and took all the paint off. I had to do some cutting on it. The things I had to do are I had to cut a channel right here and here for the truck wires to go through, because now this frame will, or this speaker will sit right here, and it'll go into these holes here. And then on the back, as I already had it cut, I drilled the holes, and the speaker will go right back here like that. So this one's all set to go. Now, to put the Highliner B-unit shell on these Stewart Cotto frames, the A units fit perfect on there. The B units are tight front to back and side to side. If you try to put the B unit shell on this frame without it modifying, it's going to bulge in on the sides and on the ends, and it's going to be a real bear to try to get it back off again. So what I did is I cut this flat and I cut this flat. And what I mean by that, if you look at the A unit frames, I don't know if you can really see it, but there's a bevel, so it goes angles down a little here and angles there. So what I did is I cut it so that the cutter contacted the surface flat all the way across and cut those bevels off. That's as much cutting as I did there. Same for the front. So now there's no bulging at the front and back of the B unit shell. And on the sides, I also had to take the bevel off on the sides, on both sides. And now the B unit shell, see the front is here, the B unit shell snaps on real easily, and it doesn't move front to back or side to side, and I can take it, get those clips out. These are hard to get out. Second. There we go. And the shell comes right off. So that works well. The A units are the same. They snap right on. I tried one last night. They're all packed up in the boxes, but they work really, really well. Well, let's just get one out, and I'll show you. Without any modifications, I'll just put it all back in the box again when it's done. So I need this, and let me get these two, because there we go. So the A unit shell, so we got to get these snapped in, and they fit good. This is going to be a little, because they don't have things to hold them in place. So anyway, I can just, without snapping that on, you can see how easily these shells slide in and out. And once the window glass is in, they'll snap right in. But you can see there's plenty of room front to back and up and down, so they don't bind anywhere. It was just the B unit that was giving me problems. So that's all taken care of. So what are the cuts I made on the A unit shell? Well, that was the B unit. So this is, there we go. There's a standard unmodified A unit shell on a unmodified frame. So that's the B unit frame. All the cuts are the same on the A's and B's, except, of course, the A or the B unit will have speakers here as well as back here. Now I made the speaker cut a little bit different on the A unit frames, because I had already cut the B unit frames to use those big speakers, but I'm using I really like the sound. Like I told you, I really like the sound out of these. So I cut the frame just wide enough to fit the speaker in, plus some clearance so that the speaker body doesn't contact the frame. And I've got holes in here that these will just screw right into like that. On the front, there's nothing. I do have on order some Athearn interiors, so I may have to slightly trim the front down depending on how well those interiors fit, because those interiors are made for the Athearn Genesis frame. So I may have to do just a little bit of trimming, but I'll see when I get those. So that's taken care of. So the cuts are this cut back here and this wing cut here. I drilled and tapped the holes for the speakers. On the inside, I made the side cut here so that I can put the power pack here. On the bottom, I made the cut so that I can put the power pack right in here, and it fits right up nice and tight with the underneath the fuel tank, so there's no interference with the power pack, and I'll hold it in. I'll use some silicone sealer and seal it in. I've got this angle cut here and a hole drilled through here so that the power pack wires can go through. And then if you can see on the inside, I've got the hole drilled through there, and then I took an end mill and flattened the area instead. There's an angle right in here. So I flatten the area, and then those wires will come up. They'll go to the power pack. I need to glue a piece of 15 or 20 thousandths styrene to the base of this shelf and the wall to keep it from, make sure that there's no metal contact. So that's all the cutting on the frames. So that's all taken care of. Next up will be to clean the trucks, get the trucks built, and get them painted, get the fuel tanks painted, and just install all of the electronics. Once the electronics is all installed and these things are running, then it's just build the shells. So I'll be getting out my Highliner kits and just building them. All right, well that gets this project kicked off. I'm hoping that everything will go down by the numbers. I don't see any real issues working on these F units. The only thing I need to work out is how I'm going to do the backup light, because I want it operating. I don't want it just to be a static lens in there or something like that. I have an idea on how to do it, and when I get to that part, I'll go over what I'm thinking, and we'll see if it works. So right now, I just have to get the frames painted, get the trucks cleaned up. Actually, there's no grease in them. They didn't, Kato didn't, or Stewart or Kato didn't put any grease in these, so it's going to be a quick cleanup. Grit blast the side frames and all. Build the side frames with the brake cylinders and the air lines and such, and get them grit blasted, painted, get them into the frame. Get the frame painted, get this all started. So in the next video session, I'll be putting the trucks, the motor, getting the frame all set up with the electronics and getting them running. So I hope you're looking forward to this project. I sure am. And I haven't built F units for, I think there's only one F unit I ever built, and that was back in 1980, I think it was 84, 83 or 84. It was a Canadian National. It was a Athearn Blue Box. And that's the only F unit I ever finished. But I do want to finish these. I do like F units, so we'll see how it goes. So again, thank you for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.